Tips, events, and lifestyle ideas to help you make the most of life right here in Northport.
Whether you're looking for family-friendly activities, ways to get involved, or helpful home and garden tips, Northport Living has you covered.
With breaking news, heartfelt stories, or practical tips, the Northport Podcast Network is your go-to source for all things Northport.
Make sure to subscribe to the Northport Podcast Network wherever you listen and join us as we celebrate and connect with our amazing community.
Northport Now will be released bi-weekly.
Northport Stories and Living will be monthly.
A schedule will be available on social media and our website.
Hello everyone, Devon Poulos here, Aquatics Manager. Welcome to my crib. We have fun here at the crib, programs included. Become a past member, play all year long. Here at the crib, we do have rules. We take all payments here at the crib, Apple Pay, MasterCard, Visa, cash. You pay right here to enjoy the crib. So enter through the gate, child-proof, most adult-proof. Shade. What's that? Our newly installed sunshade available for rent all season long. Here at my crib, you don't have to worry about a place to find a seat. We've added more chairs than ever here at the crib. You're coming to enjoy the cribs and you got little ones, we got the perfect area for them. Our Pelican Playground, newly painted, fresh floor, fresh palm tree. It's looking clean. Looking for a place to work your upper body? Take a shot here at our Stingray Shuffle. Looking to relax? I got you covered here with
Good morning. Today is Monday, February 2nd, 2026. It's 10 a.m. We're in the city chambers and I call the city commission workshop meeting to order. Commissioners present are Commissioner Duvall, Commissioner Stokes, Mayor Emmerich, Vice Mayor Langdon, and Commissioner Petro. There is a quorum present for this meeting. Also present are City Manager Fletcher, City Attorney Fuino, Deputy City Clerk Powell, Board Specialist Linder, Police Chief Garrison, and Deputy Fire Chief Lane. I'm going to call on Ms. Linder if she would lead us in the pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. City Clerk, any public comment?
We do have a couple. Joseph Crizo.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
I believe some of you already know me from my previous comments to the commission. And I'm here about the Warm Mineral Springs. Have a few suggestions and a few observations. The way the commentary is structured, first we comment, then the commission comments, and I'd like to respond to something Barbara Langdon said last July about most residents of Northport don't know anything about Warm Mineral Springs and don't care about it, and so why should you support it? I pay school tax. My youngest child is 37 years old, lives in a different city. I pay for other parks to be maintained. And it doesn't seem very fair to me, or very kind, that the same attention wouldn't be given to the Warm Mineral Springs. There are hundreds of people who moved here from around the country to build their retirement around those springs. And they bought houses to rent, and they do their shopping, and they pay their taxes. And it seems like the whole pricing structure, which I know is not under consideration right this moment, but the city is not full of rich people, a lot of fixed incomes. And raising the prices, which are already kind of high, frankly, is not going to attract more patronage. Accordingly, me and other people who brainstorm this issue think that the annual pass ought to be restored as a visitor's pass, 360 passes, and therefore we could bring guests, and every time a guest comes, one pass gets knocked off. And so people, first of all, put a lot of money in the bank in the first place. Second of all, people would be buying more often if they brought guests, and the 360 days went down to whatever it is, lower. I think it'd be useful. Let me say it like this. The present administration on the federal level has needlessly antagonized our closest allies, Europeans and Canadians, and Florida is projected to suffer a $6 billion shortfall during this season because not only haven't they come, but they won't be coming back. If they find someplace else that's more inviting and more accommodating, in the Caribbean, in Mexico, and what's that country next to Spain? My memory isn't everything it should be.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Martin Price.
Morning. Thanks for the opportunity to allow me to speak. I also feel as though the pricing structure changes that were made for this current budget and in the future are a little exorbitant for the people on fixed incomes and for the Northport residents who are paying all kinds of other taxes. I'd like to see the commission consider additional discounts for senior citizens, which was bypassed the last time we had this round. I'd like to see more improvements at the park that are visible improvements. I don't know where our money's going, but it's pretty hard to see where it's being spent. And I think a lot of people, from what I hear at the lake, are all complaining, where's the increased prices money going to improve our time here? I don't see any improvements to chairs. They took away all the bamboo and put grass, nothing to replace it. We just don't see a lot of improvements or the money being spent wisely. So I beg the commission to take into consideration pricing, how the money's being spent, and how to attract people, not turn them away by raising the prices. Thank you.
That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to general business. Discussion and possible direction regarding the fee structure for Warm Mineral Springs located at 12200 San Servando Avenue, Northport, Florida, 34287. City Manager, this is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a presentation that our Director of Parks and Recreation, Sandy Funheller, will lead us through, and then have time for questions.
Good morning, everyone. Sandy Funheller, Parks and Recreation Director. No presentation specific to this, but we do have the information that was brought forward when we did talk about the fees, when we made the changes. We also have some information that we could bring up on past sales for the last couple fiscal years. But during the July 8th, 2025 City Commission regular meeting, ordinance number 2025-14 was introduced to amend the code of the City of Northport, Appendix A, City Fee Schedule, and the Parks and Recreation Department presented a phased plan with proposed adjustments to the multi-visit pass fees at Warm Mineral Springs Park, and we also created a new rate category for Sarasota County residents. Following discussion, Commission unanimously approved a motion to continue the ordinance to a second reading, incorporating the proposed Warm Mineral Springs fiscal year 2026 rate and discount changes and the new rate categories for the Sarasota County residents. The ordinance was passed on second reading on July 22, 2025. At that time, direction was also provided to bring back for further consideration the fee schedule for Warm Mineral Springs and to put together information for the public. In response, Parks and Recreation staff launched a public outreach campaign to inform patrons and visitors to Warm Mineral Springs Park of the upcoming fee structure changes, including the discontinuation of the annual pass, which happened on September 30th, 2025. And that was in response to the fact that there were no sales for the annual passes. As part of the outreach, patrons were encouraged to contact staff with questions or concerns, and several in-person meetings were held between our Parks and Recreation staff and individual patrons to discuss their concerns, clarify changes, and gather their input. As a result, partially of that outreach campaign, we did sell a total of 8 annual resident passes during the month of September. As a reminder, the changes that were implemented October 1st included a reduction of the discount applied to the 30-visit pass, going from 66.67% to 50%, addition of a new discounted rate category for Sarasota County residents, and then removal of the annual pass category. We did have a handful of patrons that took the opportunity to come talk to staff. Concerns that they brought forward were about limited financial flexibility and an increased sensitivity to changes in pricing and fees for seniors on fixed income. They wanted an emphasis on keeping fees affordable for the core population of patrons that only come for the water. There was interest in tailored discounts beyond the existing pass discounts to recognize military service and age-based needs. There were suggestions for incentives, such as reduced rates, weekday-only usage, or charge a premium of 2 pass visits for weekend entry. Some patrons were unaware of the annual pass, and others found it unaffordable. There was a suggestion to extend the pass validity longer than the current 180-day limit to support international visitors. And there was interest in seasonal promotions, such as buy one, get one offers. At this time, staff continues to support the recommendations that we made back on July 8th, 2025, along with the phased rate plan that was presented. If there's interest in modifying the fee structure currently in place, we did provide several alternative options. Option 1 was to reactivate the annual pass at the fiscal year 25 rates while maintaining the current multi-pass structure and pricing. Option 2 was to reactivate the annual pass with an updated pricing and additional eligibility tiers to that annual pass for city resident, Sarasota County resident, senior, veteran. Option 3 was incorporate improved flexibility and promotional incentives to current multi-visit pass structure and pricing. Based on discussion and direction today, staff would need to develop any new fee structures for review and consideration and subsequently prepare an amended ordinance for the city fee schedule. Like I said, we have a copy of that plan if you want to reference that. We also have our sales data for the passes for the first quarter of 26 as well as back to 24 and 25. We can pull those up to reference if you'd like. With that, I can answer questions.
Okay. Anybody? Commissioner Duval, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Director, I was looking at the data sheet, and from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 25, I noticed that the 30-visit non-resident passes that were sold for each quarter of 2025, the numbers significantly increased from 2024. can you possibly explain to me, any reason why we had that big increase?
Sure, I'll let our aquatics manager, Devon Poulos, address that.
For the record, Devon Poulos, Aquatics Manager. So in fiscal year '25, the residency changed. So the surrounding area around the springs is actually unincorporated Sarasota County, so that's why the non-resident passes increased.
Okay, thank you for that. Also, before the meeting started, piece of paper was put in front of each of us, I presume. I got one. It's from a Mr. Judd Roth. And he had sent us an email. I brought that with me also. And, basically asking for discounts for the most loyal customers. I looked up Mr. Roth's address, and it's not in the city of Northport. And the property is not homesteaded. And the point I'm getting at here is whatever we do with pricing here, I think we have to give a little better discount, if you will, to people that live in the city of Northport and pay taxes here. There's a lot of people that do live around the area, but it's unincorporated Sarasota County, and a lot of them are, quote unquote, we use the term snowbirds a lot here in Florida. And I just want to try to ensure that we're being very mindful of the people that do pay taxes in the city.
Absolutely. We have the highest discounted category is to Northport residents. Then it goes to the Sarasota County residents, which is what we did to include that area. And then it is to non-residents.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner. Commissioner Duval, you done?
I'm done, yes, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. What's the maximum capacity for Warm Mineral Springs? I forget. How many bodies can we jam into the spring?
I'm going to let Devon respond to that, but it's not about how many bodies we can jam in. It's more about how we can maintain safety there in the water with the lifeguards. So
I'm being facetious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Aquatics Manager, Devon Poulos, for the record. So yes, we typically, when we get around the 600 number is when we start limiting. As Director Funheller said there's safety, lifeguards, making sure we can maintain control out at the springs. From there, not saying we've not seen numbers, that doesn't include the people sitting on the grass area, things like that, but that's the number in the water.
Thank you for that. What kind of impact have we seen in the reduction in international visitors to the springs? Do we have an estimate of that?
So, we love our data over here. And with this for October through December of last fiscal year, we saw 30,075 people through the doors at Warm Mineral Springs. The same time this fiscal year, we're at 36,201. Okay. So the numbers have gone up.
Where are the numbers coming from? Is that, so the increase, where are those folks coming from? County, city?
we don't track specific addresses, but we could tell you a resident to non-resident percent.
Yeah, so the resident to non-resident percent that we're seeing currently right now, we have 59% are non-residents, 8% are Sarasota County, 30% are residents, and that extra 3% comes from charter buses under the age of 5, rain checks.
Right. And what's the time frame? Yeah, I saw those numbers. What's the time frame for collecting those percentages? Just since we put in
the current ones I just gave you were for the current fiscal year that we're in.
Oh,
so October through December.
So fiscal year 20. Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Commissioner Petro?
Thank you. Just a quick question. Since you took some feedback from the residents and the people who talked to you about the discounted tier, have you looked into, or do you have any recommendation what would it be for like a senior citizen? And the age cutoff, like 65 is 10% off, 70 is 35, whatever. Just making up those.
Yeah.
But have you thought about this?
We have that in one of the options. If you want to look at the senior and veteran discounts, we would recommend only doing that on the annual pass, because right now the multi-visit passes are receiving a steep discount. So if you add a senior or veteran discount on top of that, it would not make much sense to the admission fee. So we think you can do it to the annual pass, but we would need to do those calculations to make sure everything aligns.
So if a senior comes and visits once a month, I wouldn't be logical for that person to get an annual pass, but do you?
No, they would get a multi-visit pass, and already those are deeply discounted at 50% off the standard admission rate.
That's all.
Oh, yeah. Vice Mayor?
No,
I seen you up there.
look now.
Now, have you had any interest in the annual pass since we've taken it away? You said we had no sales before, but
Yeah. So when we did the outreach campaign to talk about how it was changing and the fact that it was going to go away, we did have 8 annual passes that were sold in September of 2025. Many of them said we didn't know that it was still available. So we would recommend bringing that back. We can do that with the annual fee ordinance that we do as part of budget, or we could do that earlier to have it in place in September. I think the question would be, do we want to bring it back at the fiscal year 25 rates, or do we want to calculate that based on the phased plan that we put together and presented to you?
right, I got you on that. What else was I gonna say? Where we're at now with our fees, does staff feel that they are adequate at this time moving forward if we were to reactivate that annual pass, you know, for maintenance and coverage and everything that we're doing out there?
Yeah, we still support the plan that we brought forward, and we would look at making changes for fiscal year 27 coming up according to that plan. Of course, we would run all the numbers again. Right now, our projected fund balance for September 30th of 26 is almost 1.7 million. So we are able to take the money that's invested there, put it into that account, which is going to help us with the building renovations that we're doing, which right now, we just reviewed the 50% construction plans, so we are getting very close to being able to pull the trigger on that.
Any timeline on how soon we can see
We're
some
hoping
work out there?
end of March, we should have a GMP for that and be able to bring that forward.
Yeah, I just like, you know, letting the citizens know that we are working on it and then we are moving forward and it should be coming very shortly. So I appreciate that information.
I remembered my question.
Oh, you did? Okay. Vice Mayor?
One of my questions was exactly that. When were we gonna start seeing the improvement? So I'm happy.
Not soon enough.
Not soon enough, but it's coming. Now, the city took over control of the springs from the county in 2014?
Correct.
How many price increases have we had since 2014?
We didn't have any price increases until this past year.
Thank you. I'm done.
I don't see anything else. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll look for consensus.
I'll give it a shot.
Go right ahead.
Like, I'd like a consensus to direct city manager to reactivate the annual pass at fiscal year 2025 rates while maintaining the current multi-visit pass structure and pricing, and bring back an ordinance for commission review.
All right, we have a consensus on the floor to direct the city manager to reactivate the annual pass at fiscal year 2025 rates while maintaining current multi-visit pass structure and pricing, and bring back an ordinance for commissioner review. Commissioner Duval.
I agree.
Commissioner Stokes.
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes. Vice Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our next item, discussion and possible direction regarding changes to the citywide sponsorship policy. City Manager, this is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We still have our Director of Parks and Recreation Services, Director Sandy Funneller, here to listen to the conversation.
Thank you.
Double dipper.
The citywide sponsorship policy was adopted as an administrative policy under Resolution 2019 R-05 during the May 2nd, 2019 City Commission special meeting. While sponsorships were accepted prior to this, sponsorship procurement methods varied across departments, and there was not a consistent structure for managing, approving, and tracking applications for sponsorships. Since this policy was adopted, the city's been fortunate to have a positive response from businesses and organizations at all sponsorship levels, as well as recurring presenting sponsors, including Quality TV, American Irrigation, Suncoast Credit Union, Achieva Credit Union, and Resurrection Pools. For reference, presenting sponsor opportunities are currently offered for the Freedom Festival, Trick or Treat at City Hall, Poinsettia Parade, and Poinsettia Festival. The policy serves three main purposes: to establish a formal structure that can be applied citywide, to create mutually beneficial relationships with businesses, organizations, nonprofits whose services, products, and messages align with the mission and values of the city of Northport, and to maximize community resources. The overall objective of the sponsorship program is to provide a non-public forum where sponsorship opportunities and additional sources of financial in-kind can enhance the city's ability to deliver events, activities, programs, and public spaces. As noted in the staff summary, the policy has not been updated since its adoption 7 years ago, yet our special events have grown in both scale and impact. In response, staff are proposing revisions to the existing tier structure, as well as updates to the policy language. To review in more detail, I'm going to ask Kim Lenski, our Community Partnership and Engagement Manager, to come up and take you through that.
Good morning, Kim Lenski, Community Partnership and Engagement Manager. One of the main driving factors for the policy change is to allow our sponsorship structure to scale alongside the growth of our events. Since the sponsorship policy was adopted in 2019, the City of Northport has grown at a rate of 31%. In 2019, we had 73,652 residents, and today we have 96,301. As the community has grown, participation in city-hosted events has expanded as well. This increase is reflected in signature events such as Poinsettia Parade and Festival, which drew 5,200 attendees in 2019 and welcomed more than 12,200 attendees this past year. Sponsorship should have a clear intentional benefit, showing how investments connect to the event experience, along with consistent pricing logic, and ensures fairness and transparency. Because our events vary in size and resources, this flexibility allows staff to create additional pathways that directly enhance event programs, public spaces, and events. This approach also helps ensure our offering remains relevant, competitive, and continue to align with the city's mission and vision. This slide is really about creating a shared understanding and making sure that we're all speaking the same language when we're talking about these terms. Sponsorship is defined as an individual, business, or nonprofit providing financial or in-kind sponsor or support. Sponsorship is a mutually agreed exchange of value, financial or in kind, where a sponsor receives specific recognition or marketing benefits for a defined term. Sponsorship opportunity is a city-organized event, activity, program, or space offered for sponsorship. In-kind donation are on-cash goods, materials, or services supporting city initiatives, including volunteer hours. Today, staff is presenting 5 sponsorship levels, which include event presenting, event feature, event tiered, amenity, public space or facility, and in-kind. The intent behind the proposed sponsorship levels is to create a flexible structure that matches the diversity of our events, programs, and public spaces. Defined levels will provide clarity around recognition, exclusivity, and contribution ranges while still allowing customization where it makes sense. Changes include the introduction of a feature sponsorship and expansion of the amenity sponsorship to allow businesses to invest in a specific element of an event or public space, creating a more targeted opportunity for the sponsor. As mentioned, our signature events have grown significantly in attendance and the scope since the policy was adopted in 2019. The updates proposed for the presenting sponsorship would allow our sponsorship structure to scale alongside that growth, so opportunities remain appropriate and manageable as events evolve. For the presenting sponsorship level, 1 sponsor per event, transitioning the Poinsettia Parade and Festival to a singular presenting sponsor for both events. Continue to provide a prominent name placement, high visibility recognition, and exposure. We would continue to have a first right of renewal commitment, however, requesting this be reduced from 274 days to 120 days, as we have found that the sponsors find it challenging to meet this commitment so far in advance and cannot meet this deadline. This still gives the team enough time to fulfill the sponsorship should we need to. Currently, presenting sponsors have a flat contribution of $2,000. The staff is suggesting a contribution range of $4,000 to $10,000 based on the event scale, aligning with the percentage of direct costs of the event, as well as the value of benefit delivered to the sponsor. The feature sponsor is a new proposed level. It is tied to a specific element or amenity within the event, allowing businesses to support something highly visible and meaningful while receiving focused, exclusive recognition. The sponsorship would be limited to one per feature or amenity. There would be an exclusive recognition for the specific feature or amenity within the event. So for an example, a Kids Zone signage could say, this is Kids Zone is sponsored by, and the sponsor's name. Sponsors would have the first right of renewal with a commitment of at least the proposed 120 days prior to the following year's event. And it's suggested that the contribution range of $2,000 to $6,000 be set, aligning with the percentage of the costs associated with the specific feature or amenities for the event. The existing tiered sponsorship levels continue to provide value as they allow businesses of varying sizes and budgets to support city events while receiving consistent and appropriate recognition. Currently, we have 3 tiers: gold at $1,000, silver at $500, and bronze at $250. This will continue, however, generalizing the names so that they can be personalized according to event themes, which you'll see in a later example. As well, it is proposed that the Tier 1 and 2 levels remain the same and increase the Tier 3 contribution from $250 to $350. We would continue to define recognition benefits that scale up based on contributions, and currently there are no limits on the number of sponsors per level. Staff is proposing that we cap on the number of sponsors per tier to maintain value of the sponsorship, which would ensure equitable visibility for each sponsor. Amenity sponsorships support a specific facility, space, and public-facing feature, allowing sponsors to contribute directly to spaces the community uses every day. These connect the sponsor's investment directly with a tangible community asset, offering consistent location-based visibility. This is currently limited to one sponsor per amenity, and staff propose to keep this the same. While the amenity sponsors are currently available at the Northport Aquatic Center for amenities such as scoreboard and water slides, staff is proposing that this be extended to include spaces such as teen lounge, splash pad, and other public spaces. The recognition associated with the specific amenity through static signage and promotional mentions with high visibility to patron on a daily basis would remain, however. Staff is proposing a seasonal timeframe or a prime visibility window based on the amenity or location as opposed to a one-year term. The current contribution is a flat $5,000, which would be reduced to a flat contribution of $2,500 to align with the time frame and to keep the sponsorship affordable. In-kind donations would remain the same, accepting them if they're a necessary component of the event, activity, or program. Volunteer hours would still be considered as an in-kind donation. This is an example of what a sponsorship marketing kit could look like under the updated policy. It would clearly define the event, provide a brief event overview, and define the sponsorship level, contribution, and deliverables. Information would be listed on the city's website, literature, and would be updated annually to ensure transparency of both deliverables and the contribution. It's suggested that each contribution level be calculated based on two variables, a percentage of cost recovery and the value of the benefit they're receiving. This is an example of how the tiers would look under the customized event. Here we're showing the Freedom Festival with the tiers being named All-American, Heartland, and Homeland instead of the generic gold, silver, and bronze. Provisions detailed within the policy include the sponsorship application, which would be produced annually to reflect responsibilities of the city and the sponsor, clarification of payment and first right of renewal timeline so the city can responsibly plan and execute the sponsorships in a timely manner, a clear understanding that editorial control remains with the city and to be sure all messaging on city property is appropriate, consistent, and aligns with our standards, and finally defining prohibited content as you see it here. Thank you.
With that, we're here to answer any questions.
Commissioners, questions? Commissioner Duval.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question about underneath the idea of public spaces. Would not a fence around a ballpark be considered a public space?
I think it's going to be considered whatever we put into the policy. So if we identify those, when we say we would have annually something available that shows what those are, that's what we would offer. We would not be looking at a fence for something like that. We would be looking at the splash pad where someone wants to put a sign up for a seasonal amount of time as being a feature or as being an amenity sponsor of that location. We've had interest in the teen lounge at the Morgan Center where someone wants to sponsor that for a period of time. So we would be looking at I guess, more of a structure than a fence.
Okay, well, all right, so let me just ask, in addition to this, like, say at the Morgan Center, any of the fields that have fences around them, do we allow and rent or sell space for signs, for advertisers?
We don't. We allow the leagues that are there to put up banners as long as they are facing inward to the field. I believe still by city code, you cannot have banners that are facing outward towards the street. So yes, we could take that over and make that a city function of selling the banners, but right now that is a major fundraising effort for our youth leagues.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question about presenting sponsor. So the flat fee from 2,000 is going to be scaled up to 4,000 to 10,000 based on event scale. How would you determine the scale of event? How do you justify this jump from 2 to 4, a range of $4,000 to $10,000?
Sure. So what we're looking at, and I'll let Kim speak to it too, is really right now what is the industry standard. We're looking at how many people are coming to the event. For example, she had shown that when we first started this policy, we only had 5,500 attendees at an event, which is now at 12,200 attendees. It's also the cost of the event. We know that we are looking at some issues financially, especially with the general fund, and special events do come out of the general fund. So we would be looking to offset those costs a little bit more with a percentage of the direct event cost, not the total cost of the event, just the direct costs. And then also talking about the exposure that business or individual is getting. There's a value to everything that we're providing them, the marketing that is going out. And Kim can speak to that a little bit more.
So based on some research that I've done on events with similar size and attendees, the sponsorships range within the ranges that we're presenting here. So like Director had said, using that sort of formula to align using the ranges of the percentage of cost plus the direct marketing value that we're providing using an average CMP rate, I'm seeing that we're delivering roughly $12,000 in marketing deliverables. So our alignment of our current sponsorship value to where we're asking through that range is vast. So we're looking to kind of bring that in.
So not only to cover direct cost, but my question also is, will this be reduce the demand if we raise that much? That's my concern, is if we raise it that much, will we have less demand, less people trying to get that?
I can't answer that question because it's going to be based on who we approach. I think it would change our strategic approach to who we're asking for the sponsorships. But in this policy that we're moving forward, the sponsorships alignment, the range isn't going to jump them significantly unless we're talking about a Freedom Festival. That's where we're seeing the biggest gaps in our current policy.
And next question, amenity sponsor. We are doing you're recommending from flat from 5,000 to 2,500. What is the logic behind that?
Yeah, it's the price point. So when I'm out asking sponsors to look at these amenities in comparison, we're just overpriced.
Okay, so demand is not as much as
Correct.
we want it to be. Okay. And the feature sponsor, that's the new thing you are proposing?
Yeah, so what we see when we're going out to address sponsor potentials, they're looking for very specific items to tie their dollars to. So that will give them a very clear vision of what they're purchasing and tying their sponsorship dollars to.
So going to amenity sponsor public space, it's 2,500. Do you think we can lower that to attract more people, or this is justified? What if we do 1,000 and get?
If that was the commission's wish, yeah.
But I don't know.
I think it's all tied. I think we have a good formula here, basing it on the impressions, if you will, or the amount of people seen at each of these locations and the time window that we had spoken about. I think it's a fair value.
Have you had any feedback from potential or actual sponsors that this would be a justified price of 2,500? Or
we didn't speak directly about cost.
Well, somehow you know that 5,000 is too much.
Yes.
Because was any complaint?
They would go towards a different amenity or a sponsorship.
Okay. Okay, I guess, yeah, we can try 25. What are your thoughts, Director?
Well, we set it at 5,000. I believe we had maybe one or two since we did that. We had a scoreboard sponsor at the Aquatic Center when we first opened. I think people are just feeling like that's too much money. But if we're thinking to reduce it, but also reduce that time frame that they're out there to really the season that makes most sense. And at the Aquatic Center would be not right now. We're talking about pretty much the spring through the fall. So they're getting the most exposure, the most people through those doors to see that whatever signage is there, recognizing them as a sponsor.
And another question is, I take that many businesses don't even know that we provide these marketing services. How do you market your marketability for them that they can advertise themselves?
How do I get, so I attend certain community events. I do a lot of community outreach. I attend, if I'm a guest at like a BNI or our chamber event. So I try to be sort of the feet on the street and be our city ambassador to let them know that we have these services available.
We also do a email. We have a 30, 60, 90 timeframe that we do with cold outreach to businesses. We have a business list. So we're either following up by email, phone call, or going out to those networking events and businesses to talk about what we do and what we have to offer.
Does the city of Commerce Chamber, do they provide this service of advertising on behalf of the city, if you will? Like, do they advertise that there's a possibility for the businesses to market themselves?
They do help. So we sort of act as each other's ambassadors. They'll promote what we have to offer, and I'll promote what they have to offer.
Just wanted to know that there's an option for the commerce to kind of put it out so people can see, like a flyer.
Yes, I utilize their tools. So if I want a social post, I'll tap into them and they'll help push that messaging out. I utilize their chamber chatter box to help push the messaging out.
Or maybe a flyer, a piece of paper.
They have some rules that they follow, but they're pretty good to me.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I had similar questions about our marketing outreach for sponsorships. Do we make a deliberate effort to market to companies not located here, but who do business here?
We do, yeah. I work closely with the business economic team for here, and then we do our own prospecting outside of the Northport area.
Okay, good. Do we have a specific goal for our signature events, or do we have a dollar goal that we're measuring our success against, or are we trying to achieve a certain, percentage of direct cost offset? How do we know when our efforts are being successful?
I look at what we've done in the past, and I'm always trying to achieve more than that. But usually it's a combination of need and cost recovery. So I use those percentages to sort of set a goal for myself in particular as to achieve for each event.
And that goal is documented in budget because we do have to budget for the revenue coming in. So that really is the goal as a whole for sponsorships. There's a dollar amount that we say we're trying to reach for the year. So that's in annual budget.
So just a rough estimate for a program like the Poinsettia Parade or the Poinsettia Festival. Do we have a sense of at what % of the direct cost of doing that event we're able to offset?
Currently, it's roughly 10%.
That's it?
Well, since you brought up the Poinsettia Parade and the festival, currently we have two separate sponsors.
Correct.
One for the parade and one for the festival. Now on the slides there, I can't remember which one, but are you going to combine them to a single sponsor?
That is our intention.
And my question is also, if we currently have two, who's the one that's gonna have the first right of renewal?
So we would look to give that first right of renewal to Quality TV. They've been a presenting sponsor the longest, even before this policy went in place. I believe they were one of our first sponsors when I started here, and that was in, I believe 2013 is when they signed on. So it was prior to the policy, but that's how we would approach it because they do have that historical connection there. And then we would offer the other sponsor a different opportunity.
No, and I appreciate that. I just wanted to get that on the record for clarity, so.
Yeah, and that's feedback that we heard from our sponsor, Quality TV, is that they would like it to be one sponsor for the event. There were always two events way back. There were two different events. We put them on the same day, and then the advertising then made sense so as not to confuse everybody that, yes, they were happening on the same day, so the advertising was together, but they truly are two different events. But if we look at it with that feedback to say it's a bigger event, over 12,000 people are coming now.
Sure, no, and it's a great event, don't get me wrong. I just wanna, give credit where credit's due, and Mike has been a very big sponsor
Absolutely.
for many years, and I just wanted to make sure that we were going that route, so. Thank you. Commissioner Petro.
Thank you, Mayor. A question regarding annual budget target amount, since you brought it up. How much was it budgeted for as a revenue, and how much did we got in as an actual revenue for the past 2 years, for example? If you can break it by the year.
I believe my total budget was 19.8, and I brought in 18,850.
In cash
contributions.
When you talk about in kind, we're closer to between 30 and 40,000 in kind contributions throughout the year to the events.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, just quickly. I want to thank you. I really like having a clear structure so we can make sure we're giving everyone equal opportunity and we're sort of working with folks consistently. So I really applaud you for tackling this specific policy. And I like your creation of new categories. I was sort of thinking naming rights, but I guess that would be, what did you call it? Not assets, but.
We would, if commission's desire was to look at a naming right policy, that would be a whole different animal, and we would come back with a separate discussion on that, because that would involve a contractual agreement for that.
And for a period of time, I mean, the two facilities I have in mind are War Mineral Springs and the Aquatic Center, to give someone naming rights for the year. And right now, having a naming right of the Aquatic Center would not be a great marketing ploy. So you guys can sort of figure out the details of that. But those are two really big amenities. And so a company given an annual naming right to that would get a lot of exposure. And I think what I'm hearing is we can clearly justify raising some of those sponsorship fees because, as we say in direct marketing, the number of eyeballs seeing those marketing messages has really dramatically increased over the past 5-10 years. So well done. I really like it.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Good. City Clerk, public comment?
We do have one, yes. Mike Morales?
Good morning. So as being the parade sponsor, as was already stated for quite a long time, I just wanted to bring attention to some of the things that I'm hearing and some of my concerns as a sponsor. So when I was first asked to be the sponsor and it was gone over what those things entailed, I saw it kind of as a long-term thing and a good representation, and something I love to do is, give back to the city, and it's my favorite time of the year, right? It's a Christmas time, and that's something we like to do. But exclusivity has its meaning. And when you're told that you're going to be the exclusive sponsor of the entire event, then that's what I would expect it to be. And over the years, that's kind of changed. We took it from the parade and the festival kind of thing, which was one event, to splitting it. And the parade's one thing, and now the festival's another thing. And I understand why that happened, right? More money, right? We want to get more money. We want to sell more sponsorships. We want to do that. But this is also a time where we're giving back. And if the city too has to put in something to give back to the community to celebrate that time of the year of the parade, I don't think that's a lot to ask. There's a lot of money that we spend things in the city that people don't use those facilities for. Don't ever see anything back from that. So I think it's important that you guys look at that too. And if we're spending $7,000, as Kim said, a 10% figure roughly, I don't know what those costs were back when I first started. I asked for it, but that hasn't been available as of yet. I'm sure it will come. But I think that's something we need to look at too. But when I was told I was going to be the main sponsor, I thought there was things that were going to come with it. You were going to get 1,000 little snowmen with your name on it to hand out. You were going to get a bunch of wands with your name branded on it to hand out. Those are all gone. Never came back. Never was told it was going away. Never was told why. But I still paid the same. Now we're looking at changing it again, and we're looking at this like from a business point of view. I think we need to look at it as, what can we get other things to donate if we want to keep a parade and keep the costs down low? Why are we trying to raise it on the minor sponsors at $250 that are just trying to be part of the parade and on the top sponsors? Why isn't that being spread out over the entire multi-level sponsorship, if need be? Which I don't know that it really needs to be, because I don't have all the accurate figures to be able to say. So those are some of the things I think we need to look at. And again, it's not about just cost. Cost obviously is always a big thing, but it's about that time of the year and what we can do for the businesses and get back to them too, not just to look at it as from a business point of view. Thank you.
That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Be looking for a consensus. Anybody?
Give it a shot.
All right.
I would like a consensus to approve the updates to the citywide sponsorship policy and tier structure as presented. Wait a minute, let me start over. I would like a consensus to approve the updates to the citywide sponsorship policy, considering new or additional ways of enhancing the value of that top level sponsorship. What's it called?
Presenting.
Presenting sponsor. And direct the city manager to bring back a resolution for commission review.
Okay, we have a consensus. City Clerk, could you read that back for everybody?
To approve updates to the citywide sponsorship policy, considering new or additional ways of enhancing the value of the presenting sponsor, and direct the city manager to bring back a resolution for commission review.
Thank you. Commissioner Duval.
I agree.
Commissioner Stokes? Yes. I'm a yes. Vice Mayor?
I'm a yes.
Commissioner Petro? We have a consensus. City Clerk, any final public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, it's 10:55. I adjourn this workshop. Have a great day.